Hey everybody, Joy here. Got a different cup this morning. You guys always ask me about my cups. I love this one. My friend Deb sent this to me years ago for my birthday. And the cups that she sent have scriptures in them, and I just love it. Wait till I tell you the scripture in this one. I just made this. It's hot. I don't know if you can see. If I can show you without spilling my coffee. Can you see the scripture inside? It says, God will yet fill your mouth with laughter and your lips with shouts of joy. You know where that is in the Bible? Job. Job 8:21. Oh my goodness, if anybody ever needed some laughter in their life, oh my goodness. Boy, that's a good story right now, isn't it? The way God turned Job's life completely around. I don't understand why that happened. I don't understand how you can lose everything except your grumpy wife and then start all over and do it all again. I don't know. I can't imagine. That is quite a story. But anyway, as you know, it all turned out well, and everything that was horrible was turned to good, and he had twice as much at the end as he had in the beginning. And so, our God is good. We may not understand him. We may not understand everything that happens in our lives. I promise you, there's things that happen in mine I don't understand to this day. And I'm still like, Lord, what happened with this friendship? What happened? This person swore she would love me until she died. She swore she'd never turn on me. And I thought we were going to be best friends forever and ever and ever. And then she just quit liking me. Just out of the blue. She just quit liking me. Never would. I mean, she contacted me every day, sent me gifts all the time, and then just gone. Just gone. I tried to contact her, sent her cards. There are so many things in this room that girl gave to me, and I'm not getting rid of them. They're lovely things. I love them, and I don't know what I do is when I pick up something that she gave me, I just say, Lord, I just pray you be with her and bless her and keep her healthy and safe and happy. But, oh, and she's not the only one. I had a really good friend one time. Her name was Judy. I don't know if I should say her last name. I don't guess anybody could ever find out. But anyway, her name was Judy, and I met her at work. I worked at General Electric, and then General Electric sold, and it became Honeywell, so I was working at Honeywell. And this girl and I worked in the same office. And she was married, but she was married to a monster. And he was really, really mean to her. He would hold a gun to her head and tell her he was going to kill her, and she was terrified of him. So anyway, she was living like she was single, and she was having a secret life on the side and seeing these other men. And so she would always invite me to go with her to these clubs or go with me to meet some, I was single, to meet some friend of one of her boyfriends. It was a strange thing. I felt really sorry for her, and I didn't blame her. I'd taken the gun and shot him. But anyway, we were very, 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 very close. We saw each other every day, talked on the phone every day, did things together every night. And then I met Jerry. And Jerry and I knew each other 3 months, and we got married. And I called her before we got married, and I asked, you have to have 2 witnesses, you know. We didn't have a wedding. I've invited some friends in our family and stuff. Very, very, very small wedding. But I asked her if she would be one of my witnesses. And then Jerry's brother, I don't know who was going to be his witness, but anyway, she said, I can't be your friend anymore because you're going to be happy and I'm going to still be miserable. And I never heard from her again, ever, in 45 years. Isn't that just crazy? Isn't it just crazy? I don't understand it. I really don't. So I didn't come here to depress you all with sad parts of my life. I got a divorce from Philip, my first husband, when I found out he was doing drugs, and I found out a very shocking way. I had absolutely no idea in the world. I was the dumbest girl. Talk about naive. He actually had a drug business and was selling drugs out of our home. And I had no clue. No clue. I met Philip in school when we were in high school, my senior year. He was a wonderful, nice person. He wrote poetry all the time. He wrote me poetry. I met him in the counselor's office. I had to go see the counselor for some reason, and I walked in there, and he was sitting in a chair waiting for his counselor, and I sat down like across the room from him a little bit so we could see each other really good. And he was very cute. Dark, thick, pretty hair, and dark brown eyes, and he's just gorgeous. He looked kind of like Elvis Presley. He was just gorgeous. And so anyway, I looked at him, and I don't know if we spoke or talked about why we were there or what. I don't remember that part. But I remember the next time I was in study hall, he saw me there and he came and he sat across the table from me and he said, "I wrote you a poem." And he handed it to me. So I can remember, this was a really long poem. I can remember how it began, but I don't remember all of it. Let me see. It went like, "Upon a day not long ago, I met a girl who seemed to glow. She looked at me and loosed a smile. For that I knew I'd walk a mile. Seeing her again, my life was bent, doing my best to give a hint. A date with her was my aim. It all began as a game." And it went on and on and on and on. And he wrote me many poems. I had a shoebox full of them. I don't know, I think maybe I gave it to our daughter later in life. I don't know where it is now. But anyway, he was a really nice guy is my point. He didn't smoke, he didn't drink, he went to church 3 times a week, y'all. My mother thought he was a saint. My mother and father were absolutely thrilled. They couldn't see why on earth this wonderful, perfect young man would want me. I'm serious. Anyway, why was I telling you about Philip? I don't remember. Oh, how I found out he was on drugs. And how did I get off on that anyway? Boy, howdy. The way I found out was Tammy was still a baby. She wasn't even 1 year old yet. And we just lived in this little rent house. I had a job. He had a part-time job sacking groceries and was supposed to be going to OU, to college. I mean, I was so dumb. I was so dumb. Here, I thought this guy I was married to was going to school every day. And when I got home from work, he was working at wherever he was working, well, he was a baker. He grew up, his grandma was a baker, and so we always worked at bakeries. Turned out, he had been staying home all day selling drugs from her home. I was so naive. And love is blind, y'all. Love is blind. I tell you what, it should have been a hint. I came home one day. He loved dogs. He absolutely loved dogs. And we had this big German Shepherd. I don't remember what the German Shepherd's name was. We had this big German Shepherd. I came home from work one day. Now, mind you, I'm 19 years old, and so is he. I'm 19 years old. I come home from work one day, and I open the front door, and I go in. And then there's a door that leads, there's a wall that's kind of the hallway, you know. But you can see part of the wall before the hallway. I look over there, and Philip and the dog are sitting on the floor. The dog next to him, they're both head against the wall, leaned up against the wall, and they both look like they're asleep. I'm like, what the heck is wrong with you two? Found out years later that he and the dog had both been eating marijuana brownies. Dear God help us. So anyway, I had no idea. I was clueless. I grew up in a home where we never saw a bottle of beer. We never saw Coke, Coca-Cola. No pop, no booze of any kind, certainly no cigarettes or anything that you smoke. So I was just naive. I just knew nothing. I knew that Philip's father was an alcoholic and he was a mean alcoholic, but I didn't really know exactly how you got to be an alcoholic or what that meant. I definitely didn't know that the kids a lot of times turn into the alcoholic parent, which is what happened here. So anyway, I went to work every day, came home every night. Went to work every day, came home every night. Thinking my husband was a perfect saint. One night I came home and there were cop cars. Now I always have said there was 3 cop cars parked in my front yard. It could have been 2. It was definitely more than 1. So there were 2 or 3 police cars, and we lived on a narrow street, and so we had this little driveway, and so you had to get up onto the grass to get out of the street. So these cop cars were parked on our grass. And I drive up into our driveway and I'm like, well, dear Lord, what's going on? What are these police doing here? Something wrong with Tammy, something wrong with Philip. So I go in the house and they tell me, and my phone's about to die, let me change the battery. And so I'm thinking, oh my God, there's been an accident, what's happened? I go into the house and the policemen are standing there and they say, Mrs. Dyer, we've been waiting for you to come home. We need you to take care of your daughter. We're taking your husband and his vehicle. We're taking your husband to jail, and his vehicle is going to be impounded. You cannot imagine the shock, the absolute shock. I just like I got hit in the head by a hammer. I'm like, what? This can't be happening. This can't be happening. So anyway, they told me they had him on 4 counts of selling drugs, and his car had drugs in it, and some policeman had said he had been a spy, some policeman, and he had been coming to our home when I wasn't there. And Philip had been selling him drugs, not knowing he was a policeman, of course. And they finally decided they had enough evidence or whatever, and so they arrested him. What a horrible, horrible time. God, I've been through so many things. There's a lot of people in my life that said, you need to write a book, you need to write a book. But it's really, really a very sad thing. Philip absolutely despised his father. His father would hit his mother. His father would knock her teeth out. His father would stand outside on the sidewalk and tell men if they would give him $5 to buy a bottle of whatever, that they could go in and sleep with his wife. Philip grew up absolutely terrified of him. And I knew none of this until after we were divorced. I knew none of this stuff. Philip used to hide underneath the car in the street and read comic books and hide from his father because he was so mean. It's just shocking, isn't it? Just shocking. And I think, knowing God and the Bible, I think that Philip's inability to forgive his father caused him to turn into his father, which is very, very, very sad. So he was a wonderful guy. He's brilliant. He had a genius IQ. Genius IQ. He knew history. He knew all kinds of history. History in any country, history of America, history in the Bible. He was brilliant. He should have been a college professor. He was so brilliant, but ruined by drugs and alcohol. Very, very, very sad story. So anyway, yeah. So I started out telling you about Jerry. I met Jerry. I was telling you about Judy, losing friends. When I found out about that, of course, I divorced Philip. And then we went through I'm sorry, I'm changed, I'm never going to do the drugs again, let me come back, I love you, I love you, I love you. Then he would do them again, and then I'd leave him again, and then he'd do them again, and then I'd leave him again. And so that went on several times until I finally said, this man's never going to change. And I took my daughter and we left for good. And then I met Jerry 5 years after that. I met Jerry 5 years after I divorced Philip. And found out pretty darn quick that Jerry was a completely different type. We were married 3 months to the day after we met. So praise God forevermore for that. And we've been happily married for 45 years. And as far as I know, there's no secrets, no hidden bad qualities that I've ever found. So, yeah, but losing friends, I've lost a lot of friends. Not by death, just by, we don't like you anymore. So that's been hard on me. Okay, so that's not at all why I'm standing here in front of this camera. I'm standing here in front of this camera to show you what I made to go with my new dress. I was in the living room the other night. The day you saw me make the dress was my last video or the video before. And I turned on my exercises, which is Leslie Sansone, and I was doing her 5-mile super speed walk or something. I only did 1 mile. But as I was standing there doing all these steps and kicking, and didn't I just tell you this? Seems like I just told you this. I'll have to check back and see if I did. Anyway, I'm doing all these walk, 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 kick, 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 lift your knees, do all this stuff. And my dress kept getting longer, and it got so it was underneath my feet, and I was walking on it, almost tripped doing my exercises. So I just took my dress off. I was doing my exercises in my underwear. Oh, heaven help us. So anyway, I came up this morning. I was going to cut this off. I told Jerry I was going to make it a mini skirt so it wouldn't get long and get underneath my feet. So I came up here to make it a mini skirt, and I walked in here and I thought, you know, I walk by my jewelry first, right? So I walked in here, walked by my jewelry first, and I thought, I should make a necklace to go with this dress. So I made this necklace. Let me see if it's hanging straight. I move around so much. How did it get twisted? Stay, stay, stay. Yeah, that's right. Okay, can you see it now? Can you see me now? This silver chain was lying, which is it? This silver chain was there on the top of my jewelry table. And I had a picture that I had saved from a long time ago. Let me get you the picture. I took it out of the mailbox and I thought, oh, I might make that someday. I think there's more jewelry. Yeah, there's lots of jewelry in here, so I'm still going to keep it. But I always thought that that was really cute. So I copied it. And I made myself this necklace this morning, and then I took the chain, and you know I have to have little earrings, and I made myself some little earrings to go with. So I haven't shortened the dress, and I'm not going to, because now I really like it with my new necklace that goes with it. So Jerry's gone to the grocery store, and he's gone to pick up my Dell laptop. Finally, my Dell laptop is fixed, and I'm going to get it back. I have been so lost. We have some other computers here, but they're old computers, so they're slow. One of them just barely lights up, and if you push the light button to make it have more light, it goes black. So, and then the other one is just real slow, and you can't ever hear the sound on it. So they're just real old. We pulled them out of the back of the closet, and I thought, well, they're better than nothing. I'll get my Dell back. So he's going to the grocery store and getting my computer. He doesn't like me to go out because I already have, as you can hear most of the time, sinus issues. And I have this respiratory thing going on. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But anyway, he said, you cannot get that virus. You're not going anywhere. So he keeps me here, which is great. Okay, friends, this is sort of an insert. This video today, I've actually been making for 3 days. And it has gotten so unbelievably long, it's just ridiculous. So, I am going to chop it off. And all of the videos I did before today, and all of the videos that I did today that are a continuation of what I did yesterday, before I got into my long description of my first husband. And I bet y'all would like to see a picture. But my wedding album from 1969, when we got married, September 21, 1969. I have a little wedding album. We didn't have any money. And I imagine my mom and dad paid for our wedding. We just had a little wedding at the church we went to then. And my mom made my wedding dress. And I'll tell you, it was a simple dress. My mother was a fabulous seamstress, by the way. She made my dress, and she made my sister's dresses. Or my sisters might have made their own. I don't know. We all could sew. But my mom made my wedding dress. I didn't care if I had a wedding or not. I was pregnant. I got pregnant graduation night. Yes, we had a celebration. Was a celebration okay? Anyway, you know how that goes. And we weren't drunk. Like I said, I didn't drink at all. And he didn't either at that time. We just were happy and in love. He wrote me poetry, for heaven's sakes. What are you supposed to do when somebody writes you poetry and says they'll walk a mile for your smile? So anyway, evidently he'd walk a mile for something else too. But anyway, I got pregnant graduation night, and there went my brand new earring. And so that was May. And of course I was terrified, absolutely terrified to tell my parents. He wanted to tell them that he loved me and wanted to marry me, and I said, no, 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 they're going to kill me. You won't have anybody to marry. And it did not go well. But my parents were very, very upset with me. They actually weren't upset with him at all, believe it or not, because they figured I forced him to get me pregnant. I'm telling you, my family doesn't like me. I swear. We're there, Philip and I are holding hands, we're all lovey-dovey, and he's telling my parents that I'm pregnant and that we want to get married, and my mother says to him, we know this was all Joy's fault. You don't have to marry her if you don't want to. Yeah. You wonder why I say to you my mother never liked me? And that my sister was her favorite? Well, little tiny comments like that. And it wasn't my mother's fault, really. My mother was very naive. No wonder I was so naive. She was very naive. And I guess she just saw I was so crazy and nuts about him that I must have attacked him in the parking lot or something. She really didn't know what she was saying. And she certainly didn't know me. Because what happened graduation night was very mutual, if you get my drift. So anyway, how'd I get off on that? Is there anything I don't get off on? Oh, I was going to show you pictures and telling you Mom made my wedding dress. Yeah, so Philip insisted. I love her, I want to marry her. And so my mother wanted to have a wedding. My mother and Dad were big in the church. My mom played the piano and my dad led the music, and they knew every single person there, and the preacher and his wife used to come to our house, and you know, church was their life. And of course I'm sure it was terribly embarrassing that their daughter had gotten pregnant. Well, guess who else's daughter got pregnant, by the way? That preacher's daughter got pregnant and had to get married. Hello? I wonder if they told her it was all her fault. Very true. She's married to him this very day. And guess what else? That same very preacher had an affair with a nursing home. I don't know if she was a nurse or the administrator or what, but he was having an affair and left his wife for that lady, and then he left that lady for another lady. So hello! Welcome to life. There's nobody perfect or flawless in it. At least in the life I'm living. So anyway, I want you to see I actually did just roll up a bolt of fabric. And I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let you go. And then I'm going to put all of the other video that has to do with my placemats. I'm going to patch that all together and just do a separate video of it. So I'm going to let you all go. Love you guys. Bye for now.